really didn't know what I was going to be when I graduated. I like maths and sciences, and I like chemistry, and you just keep going along with the things that you're comfortable with. I worked on the rigs. I went and started my first day of work with my boss. He gave me a set of keys and a suitcase. It was my phone back in the day, and he said, "You're driving and you're going to go live on the rigs." So I went and lived on rigs for about 6 months on the drilling rigs. And then I came back to town, and then I worked on the service rigs for another year. So I didn't have any place. I was living in trailers where the rigs were. Well, when I started working, they actually had a really good training program because I was like the design part of equipment and facilities. We do a lot of oil industry stuff. Of course, it's gas plants and Site D facilities, refineries, work with that, and they made us go through everything first, like all disciplines. So I started off in drilling, went to completions, production, reservoir, and then I got into construction, and I really knew I liked the construction because I'd always wanted to get there. I liked building things. Well, I worked with a client that allowed us to do a lot of different experimentation. It was some of the first heavy oil development within Alberta, and we got to try new technologies and develop new technologies, and that was interesting that you don't have to do the tried and true method. You could go outside the box and use different information from different industries to come together, and it actually changed the way they work with heavy oil and Site D facilities right now. So that was really cool, being given the freedom to be creative. Most of our work has an environmental component to it, so we are working on cleaning up the environment, making things better, creating new technologies so that there is less energy used in creating natural gas and oil. So I really like that aspect where we're actually improving the situation and improving for the next generation. Well, I have 5 kids, and I want to leave the world a better place for them. We were given a better opportunity than our parents, and I'd like to have the same for my kids. But I want them to be happy and healthy and have a good place to live. I want it better than when I started. I want to make the place better. I want people to be happy, and I want to create just a really good environment for people to come to work. And I know I can't influence a whole lot of people, but my little corner of the world, I like it to be a very happy, safe, productive, collaborative environment, and like I say, mentor the kids so that they have like something to grow upon, and that's what I've been doing here with, and I have a really good team of experience, and we hire for fit, for cultural. There's some criteria that you have to be pleasant with your co-workers in our environment, especially construction. Some people can get a little bit out of hand where they're yelling, and it gets a little bit emotional. I would like it to be collaborative and cooperative, and not so confrontational. So I don't like to hire people who are confrontational. Like it's I think you get more out of being cooperative than confrontational. I have a great husband. He was actually a client. I married the client and we did not get along at first. He was a very tough taskmaster, but I learned a lot from working for him. But he's my greatest supporter, and my children have all been very supportive of me working. In fact, it's funny, my first daughter, when she was born, I had 10 days off, and my second one I had 4 days off. And the other 3 were inherited. The other boys, I inherited them through marriage. But the kids have come to work with me over the years. I had a play set up in our office before where they would come and be together and play, and I could work, and there was other women who had children, and they brought them to work as well. So I was happier being around the kids than being away from them, and my clients all supported where I was. So it's been a really great opportunity, and I hope that other women can, have that opportunity as well. My daughter's, she's in her first year at Queen's, and they actually have 30% of their group is the highest percentage of women in engineering in all the universities in Canada. and she went into school not knowing that there would be a disparity like between the men and the women. She thought it was going to be equal. So I'm really happy that the younger generation don't see those boundaries. I think we're getting there as far as the opportunities for the younger generation. They don't seem to have the hang-ups that I had when I went to school. I'd have to say my dad was a pretty big role model. He worked at Defense Research. He was an aeronautical engineer, and he always pushed me. And one of the funny things is he didn't want women in engineering. So I always had this attitude like, oh yeah, I can do it, sort of thing. So I have a very defiant kind of attitude. So if you think that I can't do it, it's like I'll figure out a way how to. So and then Dad was a really big cheerleader of mine, and later on in my career, but he was having a hard time adjusting having women in engineering for a while. That was a role model, and my first boss was a really good role model. He was again very challenging, but very supportive as well. He was a grumpy old man kind of thing, and again very. He would push me, and then it was good because then I push back, right? Because I will do everything I can to attempt to succeed, even if you say that it would be impossible to do. So that's a big thing for me, is trying to say nothing's impossible, like to be able to overcome that. Those I think are probably my biggest role models. Okay, in this environment here, what I would like to have as a legacy is a very safe place to work where people can be creative, use their technology, use their skill, be collaborative, get a better product for the clients, and to have the younger generation mentored appropriately to give our knowledge to those kids that are up and coming, so that they have a good footing to start their careers and carry on. I think with the way the world is changing and stuff right now too, the biggest thing is be cooperative and collaborative. Like many heads to solve a problem is better than one, and not to be so competitive. I think things go along a lot better if you're cooperative. And it's a lot more fun too, like to work that way. And so much more gets accomplished when you're working together as a team. That's a big thing. And then for the younger guys too, if they could just absorb the lessons learned that they have from their elders, if you could just absorb a lot of the challenges that we've had to overcome and learn from them instead of having to repeat them, learn from our mistakes.